Good morning. Good morning, Stacy, Doyle, Julia, Jessica, Sarah, Heather. Good morning, everybody. What are y'all drinking today? Tell us.
What y'all got in that mug?
Who in here likes coffee or espresso?
Say I.
I'm drinking coffee with espresso. Some like to call it, it's called the red eye or something like that. That'll get you.
The sharp eye.
Good morning, Anne. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Sterling. Coffee's what's up?
Coffee.
So
Hey, what does my breath smell like?
Coffee. Yeah.
That was amazing. Cold brew, homemade, nice.
Wow.
Espresso, and in the house. Tea. Never had a cup of coffee.
What?
Wow, that is a statement. Ooh.
I want to know why, though.
Good morning, Emily.
Sarah,
Good morning,
Emily,
Tawny.
Good morning, everybody.
Your finger.
Monique, Jason. So, okay, today, Wednesday is all about empowerment. So, in order to feel more empowered, you have to overcome. Otherwise, you're going to succumb, and that will make you feel defeated.
End of show. That's it.
Yeah. But here's the thing, you know, we want to talk about fear a little bit, because fear is
A thief.
Only if you let it. Do you mind pulling up the definition of fear in the dictionary? So fear is obviously an emotion that we all get to experience, probably a few times during every month. So what is the definition of fear?
An unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat. What's the key word? I want to post in the comments, what's the key word in that definition? An unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain, or a threat.
Think about that for a second. So I want to see if, yeah, Sterling got it.
Yeah, I want more to come in. It's epic because fear is something, I mean, it can be semi-controlled. Sometimes it's brought on by, oftentimes it's brought on by an experience and what we know to be likely within that experience. Let's say I'm in a jungle and I hear a roar. My experience is that when there's a roar, there's a ferocious animal around, I immediately get fear, right? So in that case, like your body that is going to go into its
reactive mode.
Yeah, like it's a safety mechanism, right? Like fight or flight is the fear generated state. And so based off of the fear that we have, then comes what? An action.
Yeah. A reactive mechanism. So fear, I want you guys to actually type in the comments, when was the last time you experienced fear in your life?
There's different kinds of fear too, or different degrees of fear.
Well, of course.
I just want to talk about like some of the different degrees of fear, right? There's fear for your life. You're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger.
There is fear of the unknown.
There's fear of heights. There's fear of
uncertainty.
There's one really big one that I'm saving.
I think we are thinking about the same thing.
You know, but fear to a degree, like, can really be, not to a degree, fear can be controlled, but to what degree is based off of the circumstances and the outcome, right? What are you afraid of? If you're afraid of death, the action that you take is going to be much larger oftentimes than if it's something that seems to be less threatening.
Yeah. So I want to read some comments before I go.
Like fear of what somebody's going to think of your hairdo.
Monique, fear of failure.
There it is. There it is. That's the one I was holding back.
COVID. Fear yesterday before my workout.
Fear of failure.
Fear of failure. Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. So now, you guys, the truth of the matter is that I had this conversation, I think, with somebody yesterday or a day before yesterday. I don't quite remember. But, you know, human beings have evolved over, you know, millions of years, right? And we've evolved to master one thing and one thing only, and that's called survival. So fear is a survival mechanism, right? Because back in the day, right, when we were hunter-gatherers and we experienced fear, it's most likely because we had to run for our lives, right? And we had to survive, right? However, as life kept on evolving, remember, like the way that we respond, right? Fear is still a response mechanism that has been used for thousands of years to help us become who we are today. So we're very good at
surviving
and at staying in our comfort zone, right? Because this is the only thing that human beings have mastered. I want you to think about the last time that you had to face something uncomfortable and you're like, yep, I'm choosing to go past my comfort zone and do it rather than stay in my comfort zone. I mean, if you're in this room, you probably had that talk in your head and you may have chosen to face and go past your comfort zone anyways, because you are a high achiever. And that's why we created this community. But you guys, most people will say, great example, snoozing your alarm. Right? Like you're still tired and therefore you'd rather stay in your comfort zone, which is your bed, right? So you'll snooze your alarm. How many people in this room, right, snooze their alarm? If you know me, you know that I told you that for me, like one of the biggest habits that I had to overcome is to stop snoozing my alarm, right? And even today, you got me up at 4:15. So you know, it's a work in progress for everybody, but for most people, you know, they will make their life decisions based off of fear. And when I say that, it's not in response to overcoming fear. It's most likely because they are succumbing to fear. It's like, I will do this because, you know, it will make me feel more comfortable, right? If you know at least one person in your life who did that recently, like, you know, drop a comment and tell us what they did. We know that you guys are high performers, so like we want to bring up this topic because we know that you probably, you know, do choose to overcome fear to some degree or not. However, fear is a response mechanism that we all have to learn to overcome if we want to get better. I feel like you have something you want to add.
Oftentimes, fear is the deciding factor of a decision that could change our lives. And I think a lot of the time we're even unaware that the reason we have indecision is because of our unawareness that fear is what's actually holding us back. because fear is disguised in many forms of excuses. Also, I'll give some examples. Let's take the scenario. Okay, let's take the scenario of our one-on-one coaching, because this is something that I encounter all the time, and I walk people through all the time.
By the way, if you're in our inner circle group, can you do us a favor and like drop us an amazing emoji?
But I've most likely had this conversation with several of the people in that group and helped walk them through this. And it's not a matter of a sale at that point. It's a matter of, let me help you to overcome what's really holding you back. And so, any this can go for any investment. Our inner circle is an investment. If you want to really make a change, like, that's the place to be. But, any investment, that has to do with you taking action, right? A business coach, a weight loss coach, whatever. When you have to make a financial commitment or some other kind of commitment, but you have an unknown actual fear of your ability to follow through, or a fear of maybe putting money into something that you are not going to get the result that you're hoping from. The fear isn't that the fear, okay, let's take the scenario of somebody who can afford a business coach or whatever. And your fear isn't the money. If you can afford it, your fear is not the money. Your fear is your inability to succeed. Your fear is the uncertainty within what you're getting that you don't want to lose. Your fear of failure, your fear of loss, your fear of fill in the blank is holding you back from something. Let's take skydiving, for example. And there's so much fear, right? And oftentimes we're like, oh yeah, I feared, like it's the fear of death. No, it's not, because how many deaths are there actually in skydiving compared to the number of jumps?
It's the fear of the unknown.
It's the fear of uncertainty. It's the fear of, I don't know what's going to happen when I jump. It's the fear of, can I trust this person behind me? It's the fear of so many other things. And so I think the most important thing is to ask ourselves, what am I truly afraid of? Like, it's the act of jumping. But not jumping in itself. You could jump off a curb and you're fine. You're still jumping, right? It's the fear of what is going to happen next. What is going to happen next? But look, if you think about it, you are in control of every decision that you make. And most of the time, it is only your decision that will dictate the outcome.
Can I add a golden nugget?
Yeah, please.
Normally, if we succumb to fear, it's because we're lacking one thing. Do you know what that thing is? It's called commitment. So
are you committed?
The question is, right, if your fear is greater than, if your fear of the unknown is greater than you, figuring out what the unknown is going to be, you're just not committed to get yourself through it, right? And that's why in life, you guys, and I want to share with you two different stories in just a second. That's why in life, you guys, the most successful programs are programs that require a greater investment. Because for one, the more you pay, the more you pay attention, right? Also, the higher the
risk,
the risk, right? The greater the value. That's two.
Or the reward.
And the reward. And then for three, it's a symbol of seriousness to yourself as far as commitment goes. Nothing great in life happens overnight. And nothing great in life comes from half-assed commitments. Nothing. So like that's just a sign for some of you guys. Like if you're like, you know, this program is going to be $50 a month, I'm telling you that it's going to be shit, and it's probably going to be an algorithm, and there won't be somebody that will teach you and show up each and every single day.
Wait.
What?
Maybe it depends on the program. I don't know what
Well,
you're referring
well,
to.
I'm just...
If something seems too good to be true, look into it more, right? If the how am I trying to say this? Everything in context.
Yes. Lululemon pants versus Target yoga pants. When you buy at Lululemon, you're making an investment. Yes, it's 4 times the amount, but guess what? When those pants get ripped up, you get a new pair.
You take them back to the store.
You never get that shit at Target.
Can you take your busted seam back to Target and be like, these pants broke, and then they'll just give you a new pair?
Yeah.
Ever, never.
Yeah. So I want to share with you 2 different stories. So, you know, I think that obviously Erin and I are entrepreneurs, and, you know, we're on a mission to transform millions of lives through the same movement, nutrition, lifestyle habits that have transformed ours. But, you know, like, before I fully committed to the entrepreneurship route, when I was still an employee, yes, helping people in some degree, you know, through weight loss and whatnot, I had a trip to Jamaica because I used to live there for quite some time, and my family had to go there because, you know, fun fact, my brother and my mom are actually Jamaican citizens. I didn't live there long enough. And they don't document things electronically, so they don't believe that I lived there. So therefore, I'm not a Jamaican citizen. Third world country problems, but that doesn't matter. So I think it was summer of 2016. My family and I, we traveled to Jamaica for like a long weekend. And if you've ever been to Jamaica, drop an emoji with a Jamaican flag. There's a place called the Rick's Cafe, which is like an incredible like bar that's on a cliff where like it's known to have some of the most gorgeous sunsets in the whole world. And I went to Jamaica with the intention of doing an act that required me to overcome fear, because it was something that I had to do for myself in order to test the personal growth that I've had since the last time that I was in Jamaica when I lived there. So if you know me, you know that for one, I'm really scared of jumping like from a high place into water. Like
into anything,
like even in a pool, like even if it's 5 feet, I'm scared shitless. Now imagine jumping off of a cliff, like 50 feet tall, into the water. Like, I mean, you probably get it. Like,
she's the one that does this. She's the one that does this. Oh.
Yeah. Oh. So it's exactly what I do. So imagine like the amount of fear that I had to face and overcome in order to do that. However, I remember before the plane landed in Jamaica, like I already had committed in my head, there's no way in hell I'm gonna leave this country this weekend before doing that, because it was a promise that I had to make for myself to show myself that I've grown and developed as a person by overcoming some of my fears. So anyways, it was Saturday evening, the sun was setting, and you know, we got there. As soon as we got there, like I already told my parents, like I'm gonna do it. They're like, you're crazy, you shouldn't. Again, naysayers.
And your brother was like, let's go.
He's like, do whatever you want, I'm gonna record that shit. But anyways, so first, like there's a line of people just jumping in, and I'm like, I see them jumping. Like some of them kind of take a look once or twice and then they jump, and I'm like, I don't get how they do that. Like, how are they, you know, so brave? And
you just don't think.
I know. So here's the thing. You know, I stood by the ledge and then I went back, and it happened like 5 times. So then,
just
you know,
5?
just hold on real quick. So you know, the lifeguard was like, okay, ma'am, you're taking too much time. There's like 20 people behind you. Like maybe like try the lower cliff first, like to practice and overcome your fear, and then dive in. So I did that. I was like, that's easy. I looked up and I'm like, how the fuck am I gonna do it? So then I went back to the line again and I'm like, okay, well, I have no choice. Like if I don't go, I'm going to literally get to the back of the line again. And like, you know, it's getting really dark out, and sure as hell, like I would rather do this when there's still a little bit of light than when it's dark out. So I went back up. I looked underneath me. I was like, fuck me. Like, how the hell am I going to do this? And then somebody else went through first. I'm like, just go real quick. Like, I'm going to do it. And they literally they looked straight ahead. They jumped. So I was like, oh, I learned. And I was like, what if I just look to the tree in front of me? And then it was my turn. And I was like, you know what? I was like, if I don't do this right now, I will never do this for the rest of my life. And I will feel so guilty. I will feel like a failure. And this is something that I refuse not to do, even if it means that, God forbid, an accident was about to happen. So I committed. I looked straight ahead. I closed my eyes. All I remember is that, I mean, the speed was so fast and I didn't even know what was going through my head. My feet were a little open because obviously I don't know how to jump from heights, and my butt was busted open and I was in so much pain.
She got an enema.
Aside from the fact that if you wear a bikini and the pressure is just so high, like of course, like my tits were all over the place, and if there was somebody diving, then you're welcome. But
Instant
I was like
enema.
But as soon as like I dove in, and then like I went back up, I was like, oh my God, I did it. It's the greatest feeling ever.
It's freeing. And that's incredible. Yeah. And if you know Sarit, or if you've ever been around Sarit when she's trying to jump off anything, like you'll understand. But this is not to say that you have to go and just do scary shit.
Right.
This is not to say you have to go put your life in danger, jump out of a plane. This is to say that it's a mindset that overcoming something that you fear and accomplishing is empowering.
Yep.
And the feeling that you get is like literally like the biggest breath of fresh air when you finally achieve something that you were afraid of. You get more resilient and you start to understand more that nothing can stop me from what I want to achieve. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with the cliff or the plane or the whatever. It has everything to do with you proving to yourself, for one, you stick to your commitments, mm-hmm. and for two, you can overcome if you believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, the point of the story is that me overcoming this fear had everything to do with my commitment to myself. I would be more disappointed if I didn't follow through with the commitment I had made to myself than if I was to stay in my comfort zone. And I was like, I would rather die than not stick up to my word. And again, how you do anything is how you do everything. And this is a way that I choose to live. When I say that I will do something, like when I say that I will do a workout, I will do it even on a day when I don't feel like it. Again, like Erin said, it's a state of mind. So, you know, overcoming fear, know that requires one thing and one thing only, and that is commitment. We all face fears, right? Fear is based on a belief system. My belief system is that when I jump down from a cliff into an ocean, something terrible is going to happen. Of course, I experienced it. My butt was in extreme pain for like a month, right? But that's not the point. The point is that we all operate based off a belief system, right? And our belief system, you know, ends up impacting the stories that we tell ourselves, right? So for most of you guys,
I think it ends up impacting the decision that we make based off of the stories that we tell ourselves.
Of course, yeah. Because the story that we tell ourselves, unless we develop the mindset of overcoming fear and assessing, what is this telling me about myself right now? What is actually happening? Most people succumb to fear because they're uncomfortable, right? Facing some kind of story that they're telling themselves. So a very well-known story that we see in the weight loss industry is, I'm going to fail again.
I don't want to fail again. It's a fear of failure. And you guys nailed it, right?
Right.
But here's the guarantee. You will fail. If you haven't already. My guess is that you've already, multiple times. The question is, what do you do with that failure? And is that failure life-threatening? Are you still here today? Yeah, right? So if failure has no detrimental consequence, what's the problem with it? Every single person who has achieved anything great has failed multiple times, not just once, maybe tens, dozens, hundreds of times. The question is, what do you do with it? And how do you move forward? It can either overcome you or you can overcome it.
Most people end up failing in life due to indecision. Not making a decision is worse than making the wrong decision. So anything that you do in life, right, can lead to one of three things. You can either make a decision in the right direction. You can either make a decision in the wrong direction, what we call failure, or you can either make no decision whatsoever. Making no decision whatsoever is the worst decision that you can ever make, because if you fail, and you will fail, you will learn.
Wait, there's still a decision. Not making a decision is still a decision.
Right.
You've decided to not make a decision.
It's a decision to stay in your comfort zone, which is short-term gain for long-term pain. Right? Let's say for anybody who's pretty overweight, and I'm not calling anybody out or anything, I'm just, using analogies. For somebody who's pretty overweight, let's say they're in their 30s, if they don't get their shit together, right? Because, they are uncomfortable to start over or to learn something new or just to change their act due to lack of commitment, the long-term pain is going to be a lifelong of dependence on medications, developing chronic disease, having no confidence, being in physical pain, and probably dying at a young age of some kind of chronic disease. So it's either you have to overcome fear, okay, in order to have that long-term gain. Everything in life has a price. Now, it's up to us to choose what price are we willing to pay. Are we willing to pay a price of lifelong, full of frustration, by staying in our comfort zone, right? A place where nothing great grows? Or are we willing to, face our fears, get outside our comfort zone, and be in short-term pain, but in a few months and years, be at a point of long-term gain?
Don't fear your failure.
Fear staying in your comfort zone.
You're going to fail, but shame on you if you don't learn from it, right? Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yeah.
Right? So what needs to happen then? Failure must lead to different decision, right? Failure must lead to a different path, a different method, a different direction, a different mindset, a different something. Something has to be different, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. We've all tried keto and intermittent fasting and all of this stuff. And how long have you stuck to it? Right? So ask yourself, what is it? What's the common trend? What's the common denominator? What's the thing that I can learn and take away from every single one of these things? Is something the same about all of them? Okay, let me try changing that. In this case, I'll give you the answer because we're here to help. It's unsustainability. Is that a word?
I don't even know.
Sure, you know what I mean.
You get what it means.
But yeah, so we challenge you today. If something scares you, but you know it's not going to be life-threatening, especially if the fear is only because of failure. Do it. Do it anyway.
I'll be disservicing them if real quick, we don't bring up the topic of fear of making a money investment, because like we get on the phone with a lot of people and 50% of them say no because they fear failure, when we know that we can help them. And we feel so bad because, like, if you choose not to commit to yourself, you're just going to live a life of long-term pain. Now, look, achieving great things in life requires investments, right? And if you've been struggling with weight loss for a really long time, then you should definitely consider the Inner Circle program. So now, like we said, it is an investment, absolutely. However, if you're in a point where, like, financially right now you can't seem to come up with the funds, that doesn't mean that you can't find a way to come up with the funds just because you don't have it in your bank account right now.
If we want something bad enough, we find a way to get it. But the thing is, you're the only one in charge of how bad you want anything in life.
Right.
So, just be clear with yourself. How bad do you want what you say you want? Everybody wants abs. Oh, I want abs. Nobody's willing to do what it takes. Nobody's willing to seek the help that they need,
Seek the help. Put in the work.
Yeah. So, I mean, money's a funny thing. Like, we spend money on so much shit we don't need and so much shit we can't afford. People buy Mercedes and stupid shit to look cool or to whatever, and then they struggle to pay rent. Like, we spend money on so many useless things as a society, and then when it's something that's truly going to help us move forward in life, we're like, I can't afford it.
You're just not committed.
And that's okay. You'll have your time when you're committed. You'll have your time when you're ready, and so
and most of the time, can I add something?
Yeah.
When it's something that's not tangible, right? Like, a lot of people make excuses because they can't see it. Like with a car, even if it's $100,000, like, how many people will get a car that they actually can't afford, but they can see what they're getting and they're like, I will figure it out. They become resourceful, right? But when it's something that you can't see, then it's like, no, I can't afford it. It's because you can't see it. You can't see where you're going to go if you're not committed.
Yes, I was going to say,
if you're committed, you're like, I will figure it out, and I will take the coaching, and I will do whatever it takes.
Yeah, commitment is not as big of a requirement when you're purchasing something tangible.
Yeah. And that's why, the supplement industry is fucking killing it. Meanwhile, like 99% of supplements are like literally you taking money and like just throwing it down the drain. Just being honest.
So to be clear too, this is not a sales pitch. This is examples, like real life that we deal with every day.
Yeah.
And let's talk about how a car is not even actually an investment. There are so many modes of
liability.
Transportation, and it's costing you more money, which means it's actually a liability.
Or a home. A home is a liability too. Unless somebody's paying you rent, then...
Right,
what?
But I mean, people don't just buy houses every day. People buy, like, a car is an easier investment because you don't have to have a big down payment. Oh, here's $1,000, and then I get this $60,000 cool car that people are going to think I'm more awesome than I really am, and they don't know that I'm broke. But because I feel a certain way from purchasing it, and I don't have to be fully committed because it's a tangible thing, so it's easier for me to know what I'm getting, and it doesn't require me to put in any extra effort to get the result. I get the car, I leave with it. Amazing, right? When it requires effort, then we doubt ourselves. Then it's not just a fear of am I going to be able to afford this? It's a fear of, am I going to put this money in and then not commit? If you're not committed, of course you're going to be scared to invest in something that requires effort, right? I don't know. There's a lot of things going on here. Yeah. Okay. So moving forward.
Moving forward, the next time you experience fear, ask yourself, like, what is really happening, right? Like, why am I feeling this way?
What am I actually afraid of?
What am I actually afraid of?
Like what's the real thing
Like
that I'm afraid of?
Is it my fear of failure? Okay, if it's my fear of failure, is it because I've failed so many times and I have the fear that it's going to be the same? Or is it perhaps my lack of commitment? If you're not committed, yeah, 100% you're going to fail. And I will tell you the truth, most people are not committed, and that's why they're like, you know, you try this and you try that. Like, trying and doing is different. When you are committed, you have no option but to fucking do it. Seriously, I get so passionate about this because people are full of excuses.
And I think we're full of excuses because a lot of people are numb to what's going on in
a
their
lot
lives.
of people are numb, that's one, but also there's a lot of trickery. Like, we're not gonna lie, there's a lot of trickery, so we feel it for others, and that's why we are on such a big mission, because we know that we can help. And it's like every time somebody's like makes an excuse, because again, like, you're either just not committed, or you're just going to commit. Right? But most people don't even realize how they're living their life lacking ownership. It's my boyfriend's fault. It's my mom's fault. It's the bread's fault. No, it's
the coronavirus.
It's your fault for blaming everything on others instead of fucking taking ownership. If there is a way, there is. If there is a will, there's a way. Everything in life can be figured out. 100%. But in order for you to figure it out, it requires commitment. I'm going to leave you with an intention that I wrote for me for today. Logic will take you from A to B. Imagination will take you everywhere. If you are committed, you will imagine what you want to get. If you're not committed, then you're going to be blocked. Most people block themselves. And of course, most industries like add more to that by blocking you through trickery, right? But
the experience that you receive is oftentimes a joke.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it makes us jaded, and that's completely understandable. We're here to change that. If you haven't figured out by now, like, we're for real, and we're truly here to help you from the bottom of our hearts. Anything and everything that we do, we produce, we put out, we say is intended to help you to get past and through yourself and your own fears and your own excuses and your own blames and everything, so that you can move forward, so that you can be the best version of yourself, right? We have felt the satisfaction and empowerment from overcoming this thing called body transformation, and we want that for every single person, especially if you have struggled with it for so long. And that is our entire mission, and we will not stop.
I want to add to what Laura said. Laura, you said that procrastination is your downfall. I want you to ask yourself, why are you procrastinating? Like, for one, procrastination with regards to what? To your work? If you're procrastinating with your work, it's probably because you're bored shitless and you should do something else. But if you're procrastinating with work, and that's for everybody, then you should ask yourself, am I fearing being uncomfortable and maybe not having a paycheck for a short period of time, or getting uncomfortable learning something new, and therefore I'm procrastinating? I'm telling you this from experience. I used to be the biggest fucking procrastinator, and I figured it out because I was bored shitless. What I did in school did not interest me whatsoever until I realized what it is that I wanted to do. So if you're procrastinating with your weight loss, ask yourself again, am I like, Is it my attitude that I need to fix, right? Or am I following the wrong approach? It's one of the two. You're either not taking ownership, and if you're not taking ownership, it's probably because you're not committed, right? And ask yourself, why am I not committed? Why am I being full of shit right now? Do I actually want it? Remember, man has excelled at only one thing, and it's called survival. So unless you're fully committed, your brain will talk you into your comfort zone, 100%, right? Or what was my second point? Or is this just not working for me? If so, then you need to reroute the approach that you're taking. It's one of the two. But first, and I commend you for saying it, you now became aware. First step to creating change is to become aware of what's happening. So you're aware of the fact that you're procrastinating, you're taking ownership, amazing. Now, what are you gonna do about it? Is it your attitude that needs to be fixed, or is it your approach? But the question to ask yourself before you do that is, are you committed? If so, what are you willing to sacrifice? If not, why are you not? Most likely because you're not in too much pain, or because you don't really know what it is that you want. So you choose to stay in your comfort zone.
You lack clarity.
My attitude has sucked as of late. Negativity is consuming me. I need to get out of this rut. With regards for what? Is it like your job, your career? So if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to Erin or myself or Tammy. We'll be happy to help. Anything else?
Don't let fear stop you. You have a beautiful life to live. You have amazing things to accomplish. And if you let fear steal that from you, man, shame on you.
So let's rise above fear today. Do one small thing that scares you. If it means doing 10 extra push-ups or
saying hi to a stranger.
Yeah.
Taking off your face mask in Costco.
Or blocking your ex-boyfriend or girlfriend. I'm saying it to some people in the room who I know need to do that.
All right.
All right, you guys. Have yourselves an amazing day. Oh, just one quick thing. So you guys, tomorrow is my birthday. Okay? And there is nothing that I would love to do more than, of course, to surround myself with you guys. And to really share my story, all the ups and all the downs that, you know, I've been through. So this week's guest interview is going to be me. Erin's going to interview me, and it is going to be on Facebook because we are in the same room. So it will be taking place at 6:30 a.m.
6 a.m.
6 a.m. tomorrow?
Interviews are always at 6. 30 minutes is not enough time to talk about your story.
Well, we haven't, we've been here for like 45. Okay, so tomorrow, 6 a.m. 6 a.m. Tomorrow, I'd love it if you could join my birthday storytelling celebration. However, because it is 6 a.m., we will not be having cocktails. We will be drinking coffee. So bring your coffee, bring your pub, bring whatever. I'd love to see you there.
Learn things about Sarit that you haven't heard before, maybe, unless you really know her.
I hope you're going to ask me some really
don't worry about
interesting
that.
questions.
That's up to me. But thank you guys for being here. And we will see you tomorrow for a special episode, Sarit's Espresso episode. And so 6 a.m., remember, Pacific time.
Amazing.
8 Central, 9 Eastern. Okay, great. So we love you guys. Have an amazing day. Go kick ass. And we will talk to you tomorrow, 6 a.m.
Bye, guys.